we have been spending a lot of time in here. You know, tinkering around with bikes or just like telling stories and, you know, overall just trying to get through the winter. But there's this like really important part of bikes that has just been like slightly missing from the channel the last few uploads. And nowhere does that become more apparent to me than when I'm doing the edit. And it's that there hasn't been any like outdoor riding footage, and while I'm trying to make an interesting story, I start to just think that I'd like to have just a little bit of riding footage. So in an effort to satisfy this appetite for at least some sort of outdoor riding content, here's a little bit of outdoor riding footage taking place in some mildly unfavorable weather. All this really serves as zero towards the rest of the story of this video, but if there was any doubt at all about whether or not it sucks to ride in freezing rain, let me just confirm that it does. Look at this. You know what I don't think I've ever once explained? The story of where this name comes from. Now, if you spent any time going through any of my social media channels at all, you already know that my first name is Eric, and my last name is Spinny. An undoubtedly cool name for a kid who grew up riding BMX and consequently did a lot of bar spins. And now, these days, rides a lot of road bikes, mountain bikes, and track bikes, and bikes in general. You know, things with wheels that spin around. No, it is not a nickname that was made up because I ride a lot of bikes. Yes, I definitely inherited it at birth. Yes, you can call me Spinny if you'd like. Yes, it is an objectively cool last name that I'm very proud to have. No, its origins are not that cool. Apparently, keeping in mind my very limited research on the subject, the surname Spinny originates from the word thorn bush in some sort of old European language, which sort of translates to a person that dwells by a thorn bush. Would be a person that would earn this surname. Hardly as interesting of a heritage as the Smiths, the hard-working blacksmiths of the time. Thankfully, the lackluster origin story is very much overshadowed by the modern acceptance of it being like a cool sounding last name that a lot of people like to use as a nickname. Now I'm going to be bold here and say that it should come as no surprise that there's like a small overuse of using the surname Spinny as the nickname of choice for the person that you hang out with. Which isn't really a problem until you get 2, 3, 4, 5 people in my family who all use it that way. Which of course is all of us. My brother, my dad, uncles. I don't know that there's a more fun process to watch than your friend trying to like recall your first name because they just said Spinny to a group full of them and got back the response, which one? It'd be akin to sitting in a room full of mics and saying Mike. Do you know what I mean? Now, as the youngest, it kind of fell on my shoulders to be the one to come up with something to distinguish my Spinny from the rest. Thankfully, I've got a wildly creative group of friends, and we were able to come up with quite the list. Here are some of my top favorites, or just ones that I kind of remember. In no particular order whatsoever: Spin, Spinner, Spin Top, Spin Dog, Spin Doctor, Mini Spinny, Spinelope, Spin Bar, Spinorama, Spinderella. Spin, pretty much add anything to the end of it and it'll work half decent. All of which were fun, but none of them really none of them stuck. So if ever I was on a forum and my brother or my father didn't already get there to sign in and steal the Spinny name first, it was typically what I used. Thankfully that didn't come up very often, though trying to come up with a fun email was very tough. Okay, so now that we've established all of that sort of meaningless information, where did this come from? So the story goes like this. My friend Terrell and numerous other friends were in Toronto for a BMX trip. Going to Toronto for BMX trips was not a foreign thing for myself or my group of friends. It was something that we would probably do at least once a year. So it's not like this was a one-off trip, but it just so happened to be one that I wasn't on. We would typically be there for a week and we would purchase a 2-person transit pass for the week. That way you could always get around on the subway when riding your BMX was just a little bit too far. The last mile, always dealt with on a BMX or walking. The longer trips, you'd take the subway or a streetcar. And one day, while Terrell and everybody else were sitting on the subway with all of their bikes up like this to try and take up as little space as possible on the alleyway so that people could get by, there was a guy sitting across from them who either was A, possibly drinking, or B, possibly, anyway, staring at Terrell and everybody else there and their front wheels, finally pointing at everybody's front wheel and piping up to say, Spindatt. And everyone obliged, spinning their front wheels for this guy sitting across from them who just happened to be wildly satisfied by seeing the front wheels of these bikes that were sitting up vertically spinning. Now when funny little stories like that happen, you have a tendency to repeat them over and over again until they kind of become habit, which happened to a point that Terrell never really forgot it and started directing it towards me every time I would do a bar spin at the skate park. Now weirdly, I didn't adopt it immediately. It's not like I disliked it, but I was still using Spinny on everything that I was logged into. But the catalyst for making the switch actually came from a Nintendo Wii bowling scoreboard. I think it was something along the lines of trying to put Spinny in and it already having been taken, or I weirdly just didn't care about that spot where I was putting my name and I decided to put in that joke name from the skate park that was Spindatt. And literally from that day, from that Wii bowling scoreboard, I switched everything over to the Spindatt name, minus one thing. Originally did only have one T. Yeah, about the extra T. I like the way it looks now, but here's what happened. When Instagram first came out, I took the name Spindatt1T. And after a year and a half, for some reason, I decided I wasn't going to use Instagram anymore. So I deleted the account and I deleted the name. And it told me when I was doing it that if you delete the name, it is gone forever and can never be retrieved. And I said, I don't care. I don't want this app anymore. Turns out I eventually did want to come back, not believing that they were going to take away that name. And the only real way to get my original name back and it not look too weird was just to add an extra T. I'd be willing to bet that I could probably contact Instagram and try and get the original name with just one T back. I don't know, maybe there'd be a fee or something, whatever, but I've actually grown to really like the way this logo looks with the 2 T's. I'm just kind of used to seeing what I see. That is why the Spindatt name has 2 T's in it, and that's where it comes from. All right, I'm done for the night.